Welcome.
Thank you much.
Another week of Recovery Revolution Live. How's it going tonight, guys?
Cannot complain.
I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to see your faces. Haven't gotten to do this in a while. This is fun. Fun. Excited. I'm doing my share.
The intro music.
You did. It's pretty funky. It sets you in a jazz mood.
Yeah.
Honestly, it sounded like it was skipping to me. I'm like, what is happening? I wasn't ready for that to be different.
Like, never mind.
No change.
Right? Oh, so welcome everybody out there. We got 5 people on already. Glad you could join us. Welcome to Recovery Revolution Live. LC's back.
What's up? I'm
Oh
so
my
excited.
God.
I'm so excited.
I miss you, bro.
Man, I miss you too. You know, I was watching the trailer for the new Guardians of the Galaxy film, and that one guy reminds me so much of you, the big guy.
Oh,
He looks
yeah.
just like you, and I was missing you so bad, man. I was literally
funny.
missing you so bad.
Missed you too, man. You know, it's funny that like the night before the actual release, so it's a Wednesday night, not the Thursday when it drops. They're having there's a theater in my area that's doing a Guardians of the Galaxy triple feature.
Wow.
So the whole trilogy, but it starts at like 6:30 at night. And my ex-brother-in-law was like, bro, come with me. I'm going to go. And I was like, I can't do that on a work night, you goofball. I'm going to be up till like 2 in the morning.
We're so grown. Oh, my gosh, we're so grown.
Girl, I can't even, normally I make fun of myself like I'm grandpa status. I go to bed at 8:30 or 9, and all that's true. But, I mean, that's beyond. That's like beyond. I wouldn't even stay up that late when I was like partying. Usually I'd be like, I mean, unless I was doing meth or coke or something.
Unless it was on purpose.
Yeah. No sleep till. And then we have our very special guest, Melanie.
Yes, we do.
What's up, Melanie?
Hey.
She is the founder of Soul Tools. Pleasure to have you here. Pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's see. I do have it on here somewhere. The Soul Tools. So if you guys are trying to look it up at some point, that's what you look for. And then there's the website.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And you guys are coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows what else you do. I can't wait to hear all about it. That's for sure. And what is going on here? I messed up.
You did.
Oh, there we go. I didn't have to verbalize that. Nobody would have known that I was messing up if I didn't
Nobody. But there's that accountability, right? There's that being honest, right?
We love to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, tell on myself, and that's
vulnerable.
It's the good thing.
Brene Brown would be proud.
Amen. I'm sporting a new shirt, Recovery.
Hey, that's awesome.
South Minnesota, Mankato, actually. It's Recovery. Brandy Brink is the founder. So it's called Recovery Beyond Brink, and it's it's an RCO, and they also have sober homes in that area and whatnot. They do coaching and offer a lot of trainings and things as well for recovery coaching and harm reduction stuff. So Recovery is an awesome Minnesota organization. I was waiting so long for this shirt. I'm like, I'm gonna give you guys a shout out on Recovery Revolution Live. Thank you for all you do, Brandy and company.
That's what's up. So then I can show off this one. This is the new Sober is the New Cool. Love wins. Little style that we got going on. Sober is the New Cool.ca with the beautiful Kim Bellis, who helped me celebrate my 10 years of recovery the other night live on Instagram. It was super fun. A great conversation. She's a beautiful heart, beautiful soul. Just, I love it. I love this recovery game, man. It's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's awesome.
The best part is getting to meet amazing people and learn from them. because it
No,
just enhances my stuff, makes my recovery better.
that's the truth. That's the
So,
truth.
Melanie, why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Well, let's see a little bit. My name is Melanie, but most people call me Mel.
Nice.
I've lived, well, I kind of grew up near Chicago as a kid, Midwest kid. But I moved to Texas back in, oh God, 2000. So at some point, I need to just say that I'm a Texan because I've lived here longer than I've lived anywhere else. And, to kind of fast forward, I mean, I got into yoga early, like when I was in my early 20s. And, for like the last 14 years, I've been teaching yoga and meditation. And it's just been an absolute, love and passion of mine. I love being able to create healing spaces for people. I mean, like we're all looking for, that place to connect. We all have a story. I always say, like, stories are like smartphones. Everyone's got one.
Yeah.
And, but like, where can we go and really connect? And where can we, do maybe our private healing in a very like, a supported way. And so, yoga has always been that for me. And probably about 6 years ago, I started Soul Tools. And, it was kind of slow in the development because I knew that I wanted to expand what I was doing in the yoga world. And I kind of wanted to broaden the ripples, so to speak. And I knew that there were, the different trainings that I had taken, different ways, different healing modalities that were really creating massive healing in my life. I wanted to be able to share that. And so Soul Tools just became an extension of, wanting to be a part of that process, loving being able to help people witness themselves. I mean, I think that's just like a really beautiful thing to be a part of. So, and then, obviously I met my now husband, Zach Wallace, and he was in recovery when I met him. And that was really a big catalyst because he was in that same space, helping people, supporting people, um, you know, just ruthless honesty and things like that you need in order to kind of really find that kind of that level of healing. And so we kind of combined forces with all of our different healing modalities and created Soul Tools.
It's
Amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, because what you said is so true. Like that radical honesty and really getting to know yourself, because it takes recovery sometimes to do that. I felt like out in the world of coping through in that addictive space, I was running from myself. And so I often describe that recovery process as just kind of stopping and turning around and coming home to myself
Yeah.
instead of trying to push that stuff away, like embracing your traumas and embracing what your life is versus
Yeah.
wanting it so desperately to be something else. So, that's
Well,
awesome.
and I think in the practice of yoga, we kind of talk about this a lot, where you're looking for your sense of purpose, love,
Mm,
connection, and you're looking for it, and you're foraging for it, and you're searching for it outside of yourself. And at some point in the process, there is this awakening that the process is in, that it is a journey back home.
yes.
And learning how to have a relationship with your body, with your heart, with your soul. And so, like, we'll wander and search outward forever until finally it really, like, the truth reveals itself, that the answers that you seek are not outside of yourself.
So true. So true. And even in the space of not only in the space of recovery did I find this, but in the space of gender transition, I also found this to another level. Even
Yeah.
that, moving in through that space, I had to revisit that once again. So I thought I had gotten it
Hmm.
in the recovery space, and then when it was time for me to step into this gender transition, I got another level of it. and
Yeah.
I, and I think that there's a place of pure happiness within a full acceptance of who you are. It doesn't mean that you don't work on your body. It
Sure.
doesn't mean that you don't move in those spaces, that we can't just forget about that. But you're right, the true sense of home and purpose and even divinity, because when we're
Yeah.
looking for this in a lot of very dogmatic ways, we're
Mhm.
still seeking the same things. context,
Yeah.
and to come back home to yourself as divinity,
Mm.
as that divine part of yourself. Like, it makes all the rest of the stuff just all come full circle.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Well,
wealthy.
Melanie said it. It's about observing yourself without judgment,
Mhm.
right? To
Yeah.
be like my therapist said, take all the shit that you don't like about yourself or your life and put it on a platter in front of you. And he's like, now do whatever you got to do to make it okay to sit there with it in front of you.
Yeah.
Mm,
You
mm.
got to be able to sit with all those pieces of yourself, because if you can't love yourself,
Mhm.
then you can't love other people, man. You
Yeah,
just,
that's true.
It's the truth. And I think that something that I found, and I found a lot of my healing through psychedelics and in that space. But, one of the awarenesses that I found in my own process is that the person that I was the most, that had hurt me the most was myself, my own self-abandonment,
Yeah.
the places where I couldn't forgive myself, where I couldn't own my story, where I was still like resisting different versions of myself. And you think that when you're healing, that you need like this closure and you need certain things to line up, or someone to apologize, or to witness you, or you kind of have like these ideas of what that should look like. I don't know, that comes from a lot of different places. But I remember just like sitting there and just feeling this immense like love and forgiveness in myself, for myself. Like I had left her. I had deemed that she wasn't worthy, that this version of myself wasn't worthy. I did that.
Hmm.
And so it's like 100% responsibility for the damage that we cause when we abandon
mm,
ourselves like that.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And what a soulful process to go through that part of it, because it's hard to look at that part,
Yeah.
because we're
Oh,
so used to
so hard.
being victimized. Well, you can point at people who did leave you and who
Hmm.
did hurt you, but coming back to that place where you know we've followed right along and we've left
Yeah,
ourselves and we
totally.
fight against ourselves totally brings
Mhm.
so much, like, reckless abandon of our own heart and our own, you know, soul
Hmm.
tools, to be honest. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
right.
amazing. What a great
Well,
conversation.
well, and that's what Soul Tools, came from. The kind of the name came to me in the sense that there are tools for your soul. And we're looking for all of these external things, but there are tools for your soul to find its way and to create understanding, because it really is, it's about learning. You go to school and you have all these different, you learn math and science and literature, and but nobody's teaching this.
Yeah.
Nobody's teaching you how to regulate your nervous system. Nobody's
Uh,
teaching you how to understand your mind and your thoughts and where they're coming from and what they are. No one's teaching you that you are a product of your belief systems, which are being instilled
amen.
in. Like, it's like nobody is talking about this. So no wonder we grow into like adolescents and adults, and we have literally zero reference point on what this looks like, this kind of inner work. And we really have to, I believe that everything comes to us in divine right timing, and
Yep.
that all of this is available to everybody when they're ready. But you do have to keep an open heart an open heart and mind, because it's going to go against the grain of everything that you've been taught.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's been my experience.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Hmm.
For sure. I remember asking this real deep question about, so when my like internal awakening system, this different level of healing started to come about, I remember asking this question because I was connected with a real, kind of a dogmatic relationship, so to speak, with religion,
Yeah.
because that's what I knew, that's what I learned, and then I couldn't make sense of my place within that. And so I
Mm.
remember asking this bigger question of, okay, so how do I want to know God? And that was the reference point for it at that time. And I
Mhm.
want to tell you, it was the scariest time for the next 2 years, 3 years even after that, is all of the beliefs that I had to be torn down.
Yeah.
And you almost feel like you're out in a desert by yourself,
Hmm.
because you don't even think. I often will explain it this way: even the things you believe you don't believe in, you
Yeah.
believe in.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
even if it's not
It's so
optional.
true. It's so
It,
true.
and so you got to like come to grips with all of that. Ask yourself what belongs to me and what came through, external environment.
Wow.
What is my
Hmm.
really identity and idea about this, and how does this speak to me? And then you get stuck in that place of, yeah, but the world doesn't say that's what it's like. Or
Hmm.
people fight you or argue with you, and there's this place of frustration and fear.
Hmm.
But as all of that begins to be torn away, you start to really get to know who you are
Hmm.
and what your belief systems are and what the truth is to you. I heard something great today on a Jay Shetty podcast. It said, "You'll know." It was Bob Proctor. You'll know the truth. Like
Hmm.
you'll know your truth internally. You'll know when something rings true to you and when something not true to you.
Right.
It's a difference between being open
Hmm.
versus being intuitively connected.
Oh, it's two different things. Knowing and knowing are
Mm,
two complete. And you're completely speaking my language, because one of the things that I work closely with is religious trauma, because I had the exact same experience.
mhm.
You are totally speaking my language. Uh, I was raised very religiously, lots of dogma, and it was heavy too. And like you said, like you don't know that you believe what you believe, but even just things, beautiful concepts like forgiveness and charity carry with it a lot of like judgment and shame and guilt and unworthiness, and you don't realize that you're picking so much of this stuff up. And I remember when I was going through a faith crisis, and I ultimately walked away from my religion. I kind of call it like a spiritual 9/11, because
Yeah,
it was just like, it obliterates. And it's weird because, I said for myself, I feel like a very spiritual person. And now I recognize that we're all spiritual people. So
right.
obviously, but different institutions, whether it be religion or school, can sell back your spiritual experiences to you.
Mm.
And then when you're kind of trying to, reconfigure and understand God and yourself and the universe and all these things, it's like a spider web, and it's all entangled in
Yeah.
all of these things. And you feel like your compass is gone, your sense of intuition, you don't know how to trust it. And it's such a process to really like relearn, if you've ever learned in the first place, how to listen to that voice, and
Mhm.
Right.
how to recognize truth for yourself, not because somebody told you it was true, but because you recognize it for yourself.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
can say speaking for myself, like until I found that level of awareness and that level of discernment, I wasn't aware of how fragile the little bit of a compass that I had was. Like I just thought that, you know, I don't know. I guess I thought it was pretty good before,
Yeah.
but when I really developed that, you know, it
Hmm.
was like, wow, I didn't even realize like
Like next level.
how
Yeah.
fragile I was before, and
Hmm.
the slightest thing could really knock me down, and it was hard to get back up. Where now I can make that decision that I'm not going to let this ruin my day, week, month, year, whatever.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The work that you've done. Yeah. Like
yeah,
within. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and you realize that you gave a lot of your intuitive power over to other people. You didn't realize that you did
yes.
that.
oh,
Yeah.
so much,
And so
so much.
now, if those things are go away, you real that it is fragile, because you had no idea that your sense of discernment was you had already kind of sold it, so to speak.
Right. Or, to your point with like the whole God thing, like I never I always swore that I didn't believe in God, or that I was like an atheist uh for most of my life. But, when I look back at all those, and I don't know how many bottoms I had, but I had a lot of bottoms. And every time I had a bottom, see, there they go. Right here. Every time I had a bottom, I'd be cursing God. I'd be, why, God? I hate
Mhm.
you, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
You
that
know,
external.
it's
Yeah.
kind of weird, right? Like, what are
Yeah.
you mad at him for if you
Yeah.
don't believe in him?
Yeah.
Right.
So I just liked how you said, like, sometimes we don't even really realize that we actually believe in the thing that we think we don't believe in. Like,
Right.
wow,
Right.
All the time.
It
right?
all the time. You're so right. I mean, it's all the time, and you really don't believe understand until you
Mhm.
start to take that down. That you're just it's like this identity. Like even if it's okay, I'm an atheist, then we have that identity, and we're
Mhm.
identifying then with the atheist side.
Yeah.
And I spent from the years of being 15 years old until I was 17, I had been placed in a Christian girls' home.
Mm.
Now, for someone like me, that was like torture. And
Yeah.
so there was no external school. I mean, it was just this, and the shame that I developed through that, I had to learn through my own through this process of what actually belonged to me. I had to deal with the fact that you can have religious trauma,
Yeah.
and that I did not have to, because ever most people that have heard me speak about my life, they know that my main belief system for the majority of my life was that I was God's little joke. So when that's external to you, it's
Mhm.
easy to blame and be victimized. And that's what I had to really come to grips with is what is this, if this creation is created everything that we see. It just is. It doesn't have to be good or bad. That judgment comes from us of
Yeah.
what's good and what's bad. And
Mhm.
that's a lot of what I felt like I was tearing down. Well,
Mhm.
I didn't even have to tear it down. It just started falling away. And we go back to that place of just feeling like I was in a desert, like, well,
Yeah.
what is there then? Okay, so what's left?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's left? So
Yeah.
what
Mm-hmm.
a great
Yeah.
conversation. Love
It
it.
is. It's like, and I think so many people, it's funny too, because like I remember kind of like not talking about my story, feeling just already so much like shame and guilt around it. And when I met Zach and, hearing his story, going through recovery, I was blown away at just how honest he was. And then I would meet a lot of his friends that were in recovery, and they were the same way. It's like they had really learned. They had been given, different spaces that, like, listen, if you're going to alchemize your pain, if you're going to transform your life, it is ruthless honesty, vulnerability to be seen. And so like the minute that I started to really speak about my story and talk about the religious trauma and the things that I've been through, it's like that instant alchemy. It takes pain and it turns it into love.
Yes.
And that changes the whole game. But like you have to be willing to be able to speak to it, because for a long time you do feel like a victim. You feel like these things happened, at you and to you. And certainly, there is an impact. People do say things and do things that are extremely hurtful, and there is that impact. And that's their karma. But it doesn't take away from the fact that this work is always mine. And if
Yes.
I want my pain to help people, if I ultimately want to transform this, then I have to be able to speak about it. I have to be able to own it, and I have to understand it in a way that's not, it's no longer about what's happened to me. It's like, okay, now what?
Yeah. Yeah. It gives you this sense of power. And once again, it's coming back home to
Mm-hmm.
you because you remember. I still remember where I was sitting in the moment that I realized, oh my gosh, it is true. Like
Yeah.
as I continue, when my brain thinks of these things, it doesn't matter if it was 10 years ago, 10 minutes ago, or right now. My brain doesn't know the difference. So these people are traumatizing me over and over and over and over all day long while they're living their life. I am continuing to be traumatized. And there
Mm-hmm.
just becomes this moment of your own power
Mm-hmm.
coming back home to you and saying, okay, so now what do I do with this? I
Yeah.
think that's why we all do what it is that we do and in speaking about all of this. And I think that what you said was very insightful there, Melanie, because I believe that we're all, every human being, whether you've had some type of substance use disorder or you're just out here trying to heal your pain and live your greatest life and heal generational stuff, we're all in recovery.
Totally.
That's why I think we have to all be speaking
Mhm.
to one another, and the recovery community is positioned
Yeah.
to bring about this great change and this great awakening in this time of many shifts and
Well, when
changes.
you get your mind out of the
Absolutely.
problems, right, and into
Yeah,
solutions,
Mhm.
it's, like to your point, Elsie, we spent so much time waiting for apologies that are never going to come.
and when they did, they didn't
Because,
fix anything anyway.
Exactly.
right. But because you know what they say about unspoken expectations, right? They never get met.
Never.
Mhm.
and so, but here we are, we're harboring all this stuff, and nobody knows that we're harboring it.
Mhm.
They sure as hell ain't. They probably forgot about it.
Yeah.
We're the ones that can't sleep when we lay our head down on the pillow.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's a form of self-torture. But once you get into solutions, and then they, you find ones that work, you want to share that with people. Now you're being of service, you're helping others at the same time. It's just you can't even stay in that mode. You can't keep feeling sorry for yourself, because once you've found those solutions and you're trying to share that with the world like we are, uh, it gives you purpose, to your point. That's when it flips on its head, right, Melanie? Like, where
Mhm.
the pain turns into a purpose, and
Yeah.
and
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 it's almost once you touch it, once you touch that and you really have experienced that, it's really, it becomes harder and harder to find, or to at least just stay long in victim mode, because
Yeah.
it's kind of like a skin that no longer fits, or a suit that no longer,
Yes.
it just,
right,
it's like I know better, so I do better. Like, and I
Yeah.
understand that this is ultimately going to hurt me more than it's going to help me. It's not that I don't process my emotions. It's not that I don't feel sad or disappointed, because all of that is completely valid. But, once you really touch what it feels like to, have complete ownership of your healing, and to use it to transform, to help other people, now you see why you struggle in the first place.
Yeah.
right.
You
Yeah.
struggle so that you learn the lesson and you can help somebody, integrate that same lesson.
Each struggle puts you in a unique position to help somebody,
Yeah.
right? So the more, I always say, the more fucked up you were out there, the more valuable you are now,
I
because
like it.
Yeah.
you are in a unique position to help different people with all those different things. If I got the sexual abuse and the PTSD, and the anxiety and the depression and this and that and the other thing, it's like all those different ways that you can help people.
Yeah.
It's really cool. So the worse your life was, the
Yeah.
more areas you can kind of relate to and touch.
Yeah.
I wanted to take a quick moment, Melanie, to give you an opportunity to share with us what exactly is Soul Tools, what services do you offer, and yeah, just tell us all about Soul Tools.
Yeah, I love that. No, like I said, it really started to kind of happen organically, because the main focus for me initially was through yoga meditation. I actually, I lead yoga teacher trainings, and I was, working in groups and training people, through the modality of yoga, how to ultimately, connect to their higher self, to understand their life, and be able to kind of alchemize the things that have happened to them, and use it as a way to teach and to help and to share. And probably, I don't know, God, it's, time flies by so fast, but maybe like a decade ago, I was at a training, and I came across these energy teachers, and I had never really heard of that. I was, obviously, like, you understand, like, excuse me, like small concepts and things like that. But the training changed my life. The idea that everything is energy and frequency and vibration, and that you're no different. There's the energy of your thoughts, the energy of your emotions, the energy of your body, um, the energy of your of your trauma, of your suppressed pain and your suppressed emotion, and that all energy can't be destroyed. It can only be resolved,
Amen.
and it can only be transformed. And this
Yes,
was this was just like eye-opening to me. And when we talk about tools, this was a training that really empowered me, that there are energetic tools for your energetic body. Just like if you have a car and you have it, and if you don't understand how to use it, it's going to be really, like, if you're out there like pushing your car, getting it places, and someone comes up to you, and so, someone comes up to you and they like offer you, like, they're like, hey, like, this key, you turn it here and this is actually going to go a lot better for you. Um, So the energy training for me was that it was very transformative. And so initially, in my coaching, it was helping people through these energetic tools, learning how to understand the energy of your belief system and how it's affecting your behaviors. Like I said, like we do what we believe, and that is just like hard stop. Period.
Yeah.
You do what you believe, and so and that's what drives your actions and your behaviors. And so it was just a beautiful kind of a space for me to start to take things from, seeing your thoughts and understanding yourself as not your thoughts and not your body through yoga, and then helping people really dig deeper into that with energy work, with breath work, meditation, different energy modalities that would help people really uncover what was in their blind spot. What are these beliefs that you have no idea that you have that are running your life? Because we all have a lie that is running our life.
Yeah.
And then a few years later, or I should say several years ago, I had my first psilocybin journey, and it was one of the most beautiful, profound experiences of my life. And I recognized that not only are these energy tools and meditation tools and breath work, but that nature was a tool. That nature used wisely and in alignment was a powerful, powerful tool. And so Zach and I kind of, putting our heads and our hearts together of like taking the things that he was doing in addiction recovery, taking the things that I was doing with people with like, trauma and, belief structures and things like that. We're like, why can't we create a space? Like, this is like really kind of, for me, the call felt like not so much that I knew what I was going to do at the time, but I felt very strongly that I know how to create spaces. I've been doing it for a really long time. Even in my church life, certainly in yoga life, that I knew how to create spaces for people to come together and be able to learn together. Because I always say when I teach my people how to be teachers, I say you don't teach what you think you know, you teach what you're learning.
Yeah.
Teach what you're learning. It's like you relearn it for yourself, and once you feel like you know something, you stop asking questions and you stop being curious.
When you know you can't grow.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's really, and Zach's own personal journey has really been beautiful to witness as well, kind of finding his path and his way. There's a difference between sobriety and healing. Like, they're two very different entities.
Sing it, sister. Sing it, sister.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what, it's funny because, that was really something that like a journey that we went on together. Because it's definitely been, highs of highs and lows of lows in really understanding that healing process for him and also for myself, and certainly in relationship. But he's such an amazing partner. And at the end of the day, we just wanted to be able to create healing spaces for people because, you can be sober and white knuckling it to the end of your life, or you can really learn how to live. Yes. And you can really understand who you are and how we connect to each other. Because I think that's one of the purposes and missions of Earth is for us to stop thinking that we're separate, that we're like these like little islands trying to just, keep stuff on our island and take as much stuff, with us to the end. And that there's like some philosopher, I can't think of his name, but he was saying like, we are like the oceans or like the islands where on the surface, the islands look separate, but they're connected down in the deep.
Yes.
Right.
So, that was really our goal is between, talk therapy and coaching, energy tools and meditation and breath work and psychedelic medicine. Like, how can we, just offer as many resources and pathways to healing as possible?
Well, I want to come.
Awesome.
Please, we would.
How do I get there?
we love fun, cool people that want to come along for the journey.
Yeah, super cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I like it because it's different. Like there's not many organizations like it that cover so many different bases, and I think people really do need variety. presented to them. You can't just be like, this is the only way about any certain way.
Yeah.
Right.
People are different. So are people's recoveries,
Yeah.
and to your point, yeah, I mean, there's a huge difference between being in recovery or healing than
Yeah.
there is in just being sober or
Right.
whatever. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you're left with a void. I
Mm.
wrote a poem about that a while back. It was like sobriety just leaves you with this void, this big empty space, and you don't know what to do with, and it's pure misery, right?
Yeah.
And recovery uh, affords you the opportunity to find passion and purpose and healing, and it fills the holes that you would otherwise be carrying around, and it's like a ticking time bomb. You're just like waiting for the next the next shoe to drop that's going
Yeah.
to make you have a good excuse to go get high or something.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. I often equated it to trying to hold back a dam of water with my hands.
Yes.
Just like,
Yeah.
this is
Good luck.
working. I promise this is
Yeah.
working.
I know this looks bad, but I swear
Yeah,
I got this.
I got this. Like, I had 15 years of sobriety from heroin addiction when I had the 9-month relapse that saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
In behind the one little cherry of trauma when my arms were tired and I just couldn't hold back the dam anymore. That's all it took.
Yeah.
And then I was off and running. But without that, like, I think we got to thank our experiences, like even the people that may listen to us that find themselves in that space of relapse right now,
Mm-hmm.
like, versus doing that old thing of feeling guilty and shameful. Learn from this, like, learn yourself. If you'll
Yeah.
learn yourself and build a strategy from that versus trying to figure out what everybody else is doing and how it works for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you'll just study that, and you'll give yourself some grace, man. Just get up from here, use that, build that strategy, and move
Yeah.
into healing. That was the game changer for me, to
Yeah.
realize that sobriety wasn't going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was standing in a space where sobriety had not worked yet
Yeah.
again.
Right.
So I knew it had to be. I had to change my head, my heart, and that's been the 10-year journey. It's been
You know
amazing.
what's hilarious to
Inspiring.
me and really ironic is like when I first started my healing journey, and thank God I was so desperate because I got into therapy twice a week right out of the gate. I started doing anger management first right out of the gate, and then eventually did parenting classes too, and like I just wanted to address all these areas of my life. But I learned in therapy that if you spend so much time hating your pain, hating your anger, not observing them without judgment, but thinking this stuff is bad and why am I consumed with it, right?
Hmm.
Really what that does is it's like when the human psyche tries to stop a thought or a feeling,
Mm-hmm.
it actually gets stronger.
For
Yeah.
sure.
That's like
Yeah.
apparently a really commonly known thing in psychology, which I had no idea at the time. So if you're trying to shut those things down, then they get stronger
Mm-hmm.
and then they get more frequent. And to be able to be with it and accept it, then you can start to work through it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's like super key to understand that. Yeah, and if it's any comfort to you guys listening, pain and anger can actually be some of the greatest
Oh,
motivators for change.
the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a message. It's
So
a
instead of
message.
thinking it's bad, you need to realize that your body, your mind, your heart, your soul are trying to tell you something,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
that something needs to be done and something needs to change.
Yeah.
So use it. It's fuel
Yeah.
instead of letting it rip you apart.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I had a download not too long ago. That was, and this was again just was personal to me, but take it for so take it for what you will. But I saw fear and doubt as energies, and that they weren't inherently bad. Like we like to label, like, and is this exactly to your point? We like to label them as bad, but they're actually directors. And
Yes.
they're showing us something that's in our blind spot. They're showing us like an old wound and an old story that we need to be able to to hold space for and to look at and to pull to the
Yes.
surface.
Mm-hmm.
But that fear and doubt are gluttonous energies.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you meet fear or doubt or worry or stress with more
Yeah.
fear and doubt and worry, then the energy can feast on that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
why would so you become a very hospitable environment
Yep.
for that energy, and it will continue to feed. And
And its
so
hunger never goes away. It's
exactly. Oh,
insatiable.
it's so
Yeah.
gluttonous. It has this endless, once you feed it, it's like the gremlins, it's like,
Yeah.
so it's us that's creating this, like this resistance and this, extra suffering and pain and story, as opposed to just letting ourselves feel the fear. And they said that the energy that dispels, well, I say they, but just, it was like this download that I had, but it was like the energy that dispels fear is curiosity.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
Mm.
moment that you get curious and you're like, huh,
It's not scary
I
anymore.
wonder, yeah, like I wonder what this is, what this is. I wonder what's going on. And you
Yep.
get curious, it dispels the energy almost instantly.
Yeah.
Well,
And
and
the
you said a little bit ago too, it's like it. I just keep getting reminded of this, is that we should have the heart of a student rather than the
Mm,
teacher.
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And the resistance, like the resistance to hear that message that is coming through you in your life and pointing out your story, the resistance seems like it's going to keep you safe, but it doesn't. It continues to build that hole that never stops being filled up
Yeah.
with fear and anger and victimization. And
Mm,
that story is being revealed. It reminds me, like, that what you just spoke about there, that download reminds me very much of what Martin Luther King Jr. was trying to say back during the civil rights movement,
mhm.
is that was the point of not meeting violence with violence. That was the
Yeah.
point of walking through this in love, is because, and I see it right now with the transgender community and the world as a whole, we
Mhm,
keep meeting fear with fear
mhm,
and hate with hate.
mhm.
There's no resolve to that. There is no connection there.
There's just more of that.
It's just more of that. And that's why we are still in this space where we cannot see that we're each here with our own beautiful divine purposes
Mm,
as we are, not in resistance. The more you resist who you feel like you are, the bigger it gets. It's just
yeah.
what we're saying. And in
Right.
Right.
every aspect of life.
Yeah.
And the more that you try not to be who you are,
Mhm.
the bigger that it gets. So we're just constantly finding ourselves walking in that fear. That
Yeah.
pit grows deeper and deeper, and we can't understand why we just keep getting energies back.
Yeah.
Why does this keep happening to
Well,
Right.
I'll tell
me?
you, the
Yeah.
That's what
media
it
the
is.
media doesn't help, right?
Oh no, no,
Like
no! That's the monger.
Yeah. Turn
it's
off the
That's the
it's
news.
monger. No,
they're feeding it to us like with a
sure,
huge spoon.
Yeah, I
So
always say turn off the news, turn on stuff like this. Like
please.
we live
Yeah.
now in a world where we are connected.
Yes.
When we lived, a lot more. I remember the life pre-internet, and
Me too.
yeah,
like
thank God.
I remember like passing notes and and waiting like 5 hours for a phone call, or the line was busy. It's like,
Yeah.
so we live in this amazing connected world, and we have to be able to use the powers of this for good. And turn off the news. It's only wants to divide, because that's what keeps people engaged, is
That's
division.
right.
And there's podcasts, and there's forums, and there's just there's so many places for us to connect now as people. But apps and social media, it's like we can speak about the harms of these things. Well, then let's use them for good.
That's right.
We're talking to each other now. Let's have these conversations.
Let's do it.
Ashley, what's
Let's
up?
do it. Hey, Ash, miss
She's
you. This
watching.
great conversation, Ashley. Glad that you're in the chat there. Yeah, it is so right. We're losing people. We're losing people to themselves. We're losing people to violence of fear, and violence is just fear.
Yep.
It is just an absolute other form of fear. And even when we feel like we're not afraid of anything, the honest truth is we're afraid of the biggest things, which is vulnerability.
Yes.
These are hard conversations to have. Not to me, they feel easy, but they haven't always felt that way because that wasn't the program. The
Yeah.
program was, like keep it stoic.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that everybody
Put
thinks
on a
you
good
got your
face.
shit together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, can we dispel that illusion once and for all?
Yeah, right. Right,
Dude,
right.
I am, yeah, no.
You heard it here first. No one has their
Yep.
shit together.
Nobody, no matter what
A
you
dude
think.
told me one time, he's like, "Man, you better be careful. Don't put me on a pedestal because I'll piss all over you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
So
loved that. It was
Yeah.
like, I guess I like visualization techniques, and with my meditation and things, that stuff seems to be the most effective for me, is to
Mhm.
visualize things. And I got this active imagination.
Mhm.
So when somebody tells me some like thing like that, or like if you have one foot in tomorrow and one foot in yesterday, then you're pissing all over today.
Yeah. Yes.
yeah,
It's like so true,
real.
and I can wrap my head around that.
Absolutely. And it's like we've lost the gift of presence. And
Yes.
we know what it feels like and how good it feels to either be present in our lives, to really take in a moment, fully immersed in that moment. And we also know what it feels like for someone to be really present with us. And,
Yes.
that needs to come back into our awareness, is that there's no moment except for right now. This is it.
That's the truth.
The past and the future are just thoughts. They're
Yeah.
just they're just ideas that we have, or memories that we have, but like nothing occurs outside of right now. And so learning how to just fully immerse yourself in the moment, to be present with people, you can do so much healing with just, we talk about all these different modalities. Go to somebody with your phone away and
Mm,
just have a conversation with them and
right.
look them in the eyes and watch their body language and just, hold the space. But that is beyond powerful for someone just to feel completely seen. You may not agree with them and they may not agree with you, but if you can just really hold that space, you'll walk away from that having had a powerful experience.
Exactly.
Absolutely. A full
Exactly.
heart. A full heart. If
Mhm.
if so, if somebody, one thing I'd love for you to share, Melanie. So if somebody is like brand new to the presence game, and I mean
Mm.
just brand new, trying to figure this out, because we know that anxiety is living too far in the future, depression is living too far in the past. What type of, are there some small like beginning tools that
Yeah.
you could share with someone right now to help them start
Yeah.
with the
Some
presence?
soul
Ab-
tools.
Soul tools, baby.
I'll throw a tool at you.
Awesome.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, no, this is actually one of my favorite exercises, and it just really shows. It can really it can help you in the moment for sure, but it shows you that the power of your attention, and that your mind. You think your mind is here because that's where people spend the majority of their time, is in their thoughts. But
Amen.
your mind can be wherever you place it. Wherever you place your attention, your mind is there. And so I have people close their eyes and just come into an awareness of your breath. You just start to feel the breath. You start to notice the breath coming in and out. And bring your palms to your lap and just have your palms up, as your palms turned open. And with your eyes closed and your breath just nice and steady, bring your attention to the palms of your hands and really pull yourself into your palms. And it's like you're looking all around inside of your hands. You're noticing your muscles and bones and your blood. And you should start almost instantly to start to feel a heaviness, maybe even a tingling in your palms. You can feel the weight of your awareness in your hands. And then you're going to take that same awareness that's in your palms and you're going to start to draw it up into your forearms. And now you are fully present in your forearms. And the same shift begins to happen. You start to feel a heaviness and a weight in your forearms. And lastly, just again with the breath and with just your attention, bring your awareness into your heart. So now you're inside your body and you're looking and you're witnessing your heart. And you see it from the front, and you go around and you witness and you see your heart from the back. And you feel this sense of just ease and weight in your chest as you're right there in your heart center. And then as you open your eyes back up and just take a nice big breath in and a nice big breath out, Now, as you look out through your eyes and you're having a conversation, you just gave yourself the gift of presence. You are now fully integrated back into your body. Your mental field is outside of your body. Your emotional field is even outside of that. And so when you're constantly engaged in your thoughts and your emotions, you're actually not in your physical body. And you can only be of use in the physical world if you're in your physical body. And so bringing yourself, yes, you can consult certain thoughts. Yes, you can, move through different emotions, but you always want to be able to bring yourself back into the body because that is where you are the most present and the most available in the physical world.
I love that.
Wow.
That's a
Yeah.
ground. That's a grounding exercise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's very grounding, and it shows you that you dictate where your attention goes, right? And so
Yes.
the same thing in conversation, the same thing in, like, let's say you're hiking in nature, and wherever you put your focus, wherever you bring your attention to, then you are there.
Wow.
Awesome.
Look who
Awesome.
decided to join us.
I
Hey,
did. I decided to say hi for a minute.
Hey,
so
Hi.
glad
Ashley.
you did, Ashley. So glad. I thought I was gonna miss seeing your face this time.
I know, like, I saw all y'all's faces and I was like, oh, I'm going to just say hi.
I want to pop in
That's
there.
awesome. Thank you.
So glad.
Yeah, plus I'm not good at the visualization and the paying attention to my palms and my breath. So I was like, well, if I use that time to come into the discussion, I don't have to try to focus on the visualization.
That's awesome.
That was
Somatic awareness, a way to bring people back to themselves and learning what Pamela is learning about that.
Pamela is a lot, Melanie. Like that whole thing, you reminded me a lot of Pamela because when you know somebody's walking in their purpose,
Mhm.
like that was so natural to you, like that was your walking in your purpose. And my soul sister Pamela is also a hypnotherapist, and she's
Oh,
learning holistic healing and stuff right now. And so
yes.
I play every night because she has a YouTube channel. I play her one of her meditations before I go to sleep, like every single night.
Oh,
Nice.
well, I'll have to connect with her because I'm
Please
actually in a
do.
hypnotherapy training right now, so I would love to connect with her. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's really powerful. And somatic work, again, like we talked about the things that no one's talking about. No one's teaching somatic work in schools. You really have to seek this out for yourself.
It's so powerful. It's
It
You know
is.
what's funny is the second I really realized that the tool you were dropping on us was going to be like you were going into like kind of a little guided meditation,
Yeah.
I instantly like put my feet flat on the ground and turned my body and I got relaxed. I was like, okay. And I shut my eyes and just followed your
I
directions.
love it.
it
I
was
love it.
great.
Yeah.
It was
It's so
nice.
powerful when people can do it and really tap into it. It's, you know,
Yeah.
I've seen how beneficial it is. I wish I could do it, but
Well, but I think another tool and another way in is empathy too, and that's a tool that we're losing. When we were growing up, you would talk to somebody and you would see them face to face and you would watch their body language and you would understand that the things that you said that were empowering made them light up and the things that you said that were disempowering would kind of make them shrink. And so you learned presence through empathy as
Yeah.
well. And we're kind of losing that a little bit with kind of the disconnect. Everyone's on their phones and everyone's kind of, they're not talking as much as they should be. And so when you can see people's body language and you can really feel them on an empathetic level, that helps you be present as well.
Well, you got that, Ash.
I think that's social emotional learning stuff.
Yeah.
It used to be part of, even though we didn't talk about feelings so much when we were younger, we still learned when you hurt somebody the way it feels.
Yes.
Like, and I feel like that's missing. I know that in the state I live in Florida, you can't even use the word social emotional learning anymore. Like it's like curse words. And I mean, the things that kids learn from that at a young age, I mean, I fully believe that socio-emotional learning should be integrated from BPK, if
100%.
even earlier if you can get it. But it's become this
Well, it doesn't fit.
idea that's not true.
Yeah, it doesn't fit the narrative. It doesn't fit the current narrative because the narrative and the goal is division. So it takes it takes all of us, people doing this type of work, having these kind of conversations to kind of bring that back into the forefront. Because again, we talk about what's happening in the narratives, it's about control and division. And
Mm-hmm.
it feels so like, like even just talking about it, you just feel tight. It feels like this tight pulling, in the chest. And that's
Right.
what so many young people are going through. Ashley, you're in touch and so involved with people like that, boots on the ground. And that's what young people are going through this, and they are being traumatized in their own ways that maybe someone of my age, I don't really necessarily understand because I don't have young kids. But just stepping back and watching, this is trauma that I don't understand, but it is big. Like, it's big for these young people to be growing up in this age.
Dude, it's devastating communities. Suicide rates are at an all-time high. It's just insane. We were talking about that earlier, not to like, spill the beans on the situation that Ashley was a part of having to deal with today, but just it's unfortunate, man, because if you think about how much stuff in the school curriculum is like filler, right? How many things did you learn in school that you will literally never use in your life?
The majority. Yeah.
And we could be learning about financial wellness and holistic wellness, and tools, soul tools. We could be learning soul tools.
It could be. It could
Yeah.
be in the curriculum.
Well, the shame to me is that we're losing all these young people, and then their friends or so-called friends go and make fun of the fact
Right.
of this stuff. Like it's I don't know. I don't know if it just existed before and it was in a world I didn't see. So, or if it's
It's on such
because
a
of the
grander scale now. It's on a grander scale,
well, the division is we're teaching our kids aren't learning the skills to be able to handle anger or handle. I mean, we know that people that hurt other people and typically were hurt themselves. It doesn't mean that they were physically abused. It doesn't even mean they were mentally abused, but they're watching, even like 2 years ago, their parents go into, school board meetings and get dragged out. That would have never happened when I was a kid. Like, PTA parents wouldn't have been yelling at other PTA parents. And like, that's what we're modeling to our kids. And
Yeah.
we don't have to agree on everything. We're never going to agree on everything. But like, sometimes it's okay to keep your mouth shut if you don't agree. You like
Right.
hurting people is way worse.
Right.
I
Right.
think it's got a lot to do with the internet too, because everybody, it's like people are a completely different person online a lot of times than they are in person, right? And these trolls out here that just always want to stir the pot, they want to poke the bear, they want to, you know, shit on all your posts or whatever. It's like, why do you got to be so mean spirited online? And it's probably because they're passive in real life and they got all this anger built up and they want to like lash it out on every little thing they see that they could lash out on.
Well, and the empathy is gone. Behind a screen, you don't have to have empathy. You don't have to see the reactions or the fallout.
Right.
You just
Right.
leave your mean comment and let it feel good in your own body and then move on. There's nothing, there's no indicators, there's nothing to show you the natural consequences of that.
Right. Right. And then even when you see something that that happened to that person, or you see a young person that ended up taking their own life, it doesn't hit the same. Because I mean, what the current society for kids, and this is the argument that kills me about, we're talking about gender bathrooms and stuff, and yet we let our children sit in front of first person shooter games for hours on end. We let the USDA up the sugar level so that we're making kids' brains
And
addictive,
chemicals, yeah.
turning on the chemicals and the addictive parts of their brains before they can walk. And these are the things that are really harming us as a society. And if we target the children, we get the next generation. We keep
Absolutely.
the fear, we keep the paradigm
Yeah.
going, we keep all that. So let's focus on things that everybody that's different and everybody can get on board so that we keep the distraction going. Because if the distraction's over here, you have to worry about what's really happening here. And
Absolutely.
that's unfortunate because we're not understanding that there are real lives and real human beings behind what this paradigm, this distraction. Real human lives are being lost.
Absolutely.
It's
Well,
all.
Yeah.
why would people want to divide? You're stronger
Amen,
together.
Ash.
Numbers are stronger. So if you want to have power, you want to have control, you're going to divide. So to me, it's like so absurd that we look at these people that are leaders that are dividing us, like, and it's
Yeah.
almost all
Play
of
the
the
game.
leaders, no matter what party you want to look at. It, it's more prevalent than it's people bringing
Right.
people together, and it's like leadership truly is bringing people together. It's not dividing people to get power, because if you can lead people, if you can lead the numbers and bringing them together, can you imagine how strong you'd be? Like,
This is why we're targeting the divine feminine, though, because this is the
Mhm.
rise of the divine feminine.
Yeah.
And so we have these last ditch efforts of trying to control the divine feminine, because anytime the feminine population come into a place of it's not control, but it's not the word is not control, but when the divine feminine comes in to an acceptance, then the power loses its power, because there is and it kills me to death, to hear people come against, and that's what we're looking at. We're seeing women coming against, their rights and their body and all this, because the divine feminine is scary to the powers.
Mm-hmm.
They're scary to the powers because, women are what has been chosen to create life, carry life,
Mhm.
and to go through, bringing life into the world. That's a
And
very
nurture
strong and
and
nurture.
nurture life.
It's a
Yeah.
very, very strong, you know, uh, place to be. And what I think that we're really, really seeing is the last ditches of this grasp
Mm-hmm.
at power, because it's being lost greatly, and it's going to be like we know how this ends.
Yes.
We
Yes.
know how this ends. Now, whether we get to see it in our lifetime or not, we know how this ends.
Well,
Right.
yeah, and I'm hopeful that we will, because like you said, I think that we're seeing just this old structure just crumbling and dying by the
Yeah.
day. But it's spot on. That's one of the things that I've really been, you know, diving deep into, is this idea of polarity and the masculine and the feminine, and what
Hmm.
they play in their divine roles as energies. And the feminine has to feel safe in order to open.
Yes.
Her wild, creative, beautiful heart. Her portal to creativity and creation itself. It's like the sacred, the divine aspect of the feminine, which is coming forward. She's creation herself, and so she's coming forward in all of her, rights and glory. But there has to be that safe, that divine masculine energy as well. That is a structure that provides
Right.
that place for the heart to open. Because when it's not a safe environment, the heart closes,
Yes.
and that's a natural protection that happens. But I think that the more that women and men both, begin to do this inner work within themselves, we're
Yes.
creating the environment for all of these, natural polarities to actually, come into alignment. And it's
Yes.
actually beautiful to be a part of, the time that this is happening.
It certainly is. I think that we are, I mean, I'm grateful to be a part of this time. I'm grateful that my recovery came when it did,
Yeah.
because I would not have wanted to miss this for anything. I'm so grateful to be a transgender human being in this time, because I think that's another situation,
Mhm.
for my idea about this is that we should, like we need to embrace our journey, because
Yeah.
this is both, feminine and masculine in one space. Now, the world, the paradigm is we got to check a box, so we're all trying to scoot
Yeah.
into this other box. But
Right.
what I found is that regardless of what box I'm living in, there is a sense of that I'm not living my true authenticity, my true self. So I like honoring my journey and what that is.
Yeah,
And
show me a box in nature. Do you know what I'm
right,
saying? Who's
exactly.
wild and free and creative. And
Yes.
yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And then the LC, talk about being in a unique position to
I
reach
know,
one,
right?
because you got your hands over here and over here, and you have a personal lived experience in both sides of that coin.
It's been amazing.
And then what is it? I like how Melanie called it alchemizing. You're alchemizing into this version of you, right? And like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's so fun. I mean, it's
it's fun
really fun
Yeah.
when you embrace it in that way. Like, to begin with, I was
with that curiosity.
yes, because
Mhm.
I was trying. I thought that I had to fit into that other box, and it wasn't until a friend of mine challenged that. Which again,
Mm.
there I was with no belief system. Like I was like, well, gosh, how do I do this if I'm not, what in the world?
Yeah.
Then what do I stand on? Well, then I get to have all these great experiences. I get to see the world from both a very, a semi, because I had different things happening in me. So I never got that full on feminine experience, but I got enough of it to know the difference. And it gives me this great understanding of how men are moving through the world, and how, feminine and women are moving through the world, and just that difference in how we interpret things, and the ability to feel emotion. That's why I think the strongest part of masculinity is learning to feel, and to
Absolutely.
move
Mm.
into like a joining with that divine feminine, and being able to embrace that part of yourself. That's why I love you so much, Jason, because you do have this unique ability to be curious
Yeah.
about feelings, about, how you feel, and, to be such a tough guy on the outside. If I'm going to meet you in an alley, I'm going to think this is a tough guy, and you are tough because you're open to
I think
feel.
I'm more tough
I
now,
think you're
actually.
way more tough, to be
And
honest. Way.
I've worked really hard at it. I've worked really hard to
It's
get
inspiring.
to get to this point, and uh I'm grateful that I still feel like a sponge, like I still want to learn more, and I still want to do more and work more on these things, because it's all a work in progress, right? And it will be till I, bite the big one. But yeah, thanks. You're making me blush.
Well, there's something that you said that I want to, come back to. Is you said you didn't have a strong belief system. And so you kind of like felt like, I'm paraphrasing, but, like didn't have a strong guide. But I almost feel like that was a benefit too, because you look at the world today and everyone has these strong beliefs and the way everything's supposed to be. And just because you have a strong belief on the way you should live, or the things that you feel, or what's right for you, doesn't mean that that's the right thing for somebody else. And I think that as a society and as people, we forget that our personal beliefs do not need to be society's beliefs or our community's beliefs. We can live by certain beliefs ourselves and feel certain ways individually, and not even like on a political. I have views politically that are different from my personal views. I'm politically for women's choice, but I've never, both of my children, I had them out of wedlock. I didn't, you know, so personally, I didn't choose abortion, but I understand that it's a hard decision for someone to make, and everyone should have the right to make that decision themselves. And I think that as a society, we forget that, like, and I want to put my beliefs on the person next to me, and I want them to be exactly like me, because then what I
Yeah.
believe is right if they do things
Right.
exactly the way I do. And I think
Yeah, people
I
don't
wish more people
respect the
didn't have
idea
strong
of
views.
autonomy, right? Like you got to
Yeah.
respect that everybody has their own autonomy, and that they can, believe different than you do, and we should still be able to coexist and exchange those ideas in a respectful manner and develop a deeper understanding of one another,
Well, and
right?
once we understand that we're all truly one, like we're all from that same place,
Yeah.
then it becomes a lot. I won't say easier, but you can kind of see each a piece of yourself in someone else. And I think that you said something really on point there, Ashley. Is like sometimes when people are sharing that, they're wanting validation for their own beliefs, so that feels stronger
Yeah.
if all of these people believe it. And I think that there can be like trauma on either side. When I do this other podcast called Walk a Mile in My Shoes, we did it a thing on Jim Crow. And a big question was asked there. It's like, listen, man, if you were in that time, would you have stood up? I'd like to think that I would, but there's trauma on the side of standing up against that for
Mhm.
some people as well. And so I think the more we we are in touch and in tune with ourselves, and we do have those strong personal beliefs, and we do realize that, hey, this don't belong to everybody, this belongs to me,
Mhm.
and we've done the work where we know what belongs to us and what
Right.
doesn't, then it becomes a bit easier to hold that space. And but there's so much fear, like everybody's going this way, and you got to be on my side, you got to believe what I believe. It's
Mhm.
How
hurtful.
And
does fear come out in the typical person?
Mm, mm,
Mhm.
So think about anxiety, right? That's fear.
that's
It's
all.
rooted in fear. And what is one of the traits a lot of people with anxiety have? Control.
Yeah.
They want to control the things that they can control, because then the things that they can't control don't seem as big. If you
Mm,
control, so that's what you see a lot of times with people that, with anxiety. They are, have a lot of control, or try to over control.
yeah.
And once you understand some of the stuff, like, it's hard to be mad or look at people differently, because you're like, okay, you're reacting out of trauma, you're reacting out of anxiety. Oh, you were abused as a child. You're like, it's
Yeah.
hard to be mad at anybody for the way they act.
It is
it's a
kind of
good thing though, right?
it's kind of a
Because
beautiful side effect, you know?
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, man.
Certainly is.
Man,
Certainly.
you guys, we're going down a rabbit hole and we are running a little long. Uh Melanie, I was curious if you had any closing thoughts you'd like to share with anybody that might be watching or listening tonight.
Well, I mean, just first and foremost, I have loved being here tonight. I set an intention years ago when I was really thinking about my purpose, and I remember writing down, I want to talk about cool shit with cool people in cool places.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
that
You
rock.
know, when you really like, break it down. So I love this chance to really, because it's when you can find, it's not that you like Ashley, beautifully said too. It's, we don't have to agree on everything, but let's have these, higher vibrational conversations. Let's speak from the heart. Let's let everybody be witnessed and seen. And like I know with Soul Tools, that really is at the heart of our mission, is letting people being able to, or to witness people witnessing themselves, maybe
Mhm.
for the first time.
Yeah.
And what a beautiful thing that can be. So
Mm,
many of us are seeing ourselves through the lens of our, teachers or families or friends or traumas or addictions. We're seeing such a skewed understanding of ourselves. And so I love being able to be in a place where we can all talk about things that we all come together on. We understand that this process could be, messy and challenging and difficult, but we're doing it together. Like it's like walking down like a busy city street. It's like we're all going different places, but we're all doing it together. And
mm,
there's really, something very beautiful about that connectiveness. And I love talking to people that are in that same space.
Yeah.
Amen, sister.
Yeah. This has been fun.
And Ashley, so glad you came on for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Me
So nice.
too.
We love you, and I know you had a rough day, so I'm
I was
glad.
like, I didn't do my makeup, I didn't do my hair, and I'm like, ah, screw it.
You're looking good. You're
I'm
looking
so
good.
glad you
I
came.
didn't do my makeup.
Me either. Me
Just
either.
kidding. I don't wear makeup
Oh,
unless Kaylee wants to do some.
I was gonna say, come on.
Dude, I let the
You
eight,
do.
the 8-year-old girl gets to put barrettes in my hair, and
they kind of get what they want, you know.
That's
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I might let her paint my nails, but hey,
I
that's
may
just
not.
what you do, man.
It
That's
is.
right.
That's
Right.
all
That's
to the
present.
Congratulations.
That's
Speaking,
honoring the divine feminine.
That's right.
Let her
There you
paint
go.
those nails if she wants to paint
That's
those nails.
right. That's right. Oh yeah, and say that again, Ashley. Congratulations. This guy's getting married.
yeah.
She
I
said
was like,
yes.
congratulations needs to go to Jason. He's
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank
Yeah.
you.
that's very exciting.
I guess I could have uploaded pictures into this feed and like showed people, but it didn't even occur to me. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm the same way when it comes to like if I'm out speaking with like this or the Way Out podcast, like I almost never share that stuff when I'm speaking. I don't know if it's like I just don't want to be boastful, or I just guess I'm more worried about like the message that I'm trying to convey to other people, and I don't think so much about like sharing my news or like making it about me. I don't know. It's the last thing that crosses my mind. But right now, I'm really wishing that I had a couple pictures to show everybody on here, but I don't. Next week, maybe I'll throw it up. I'll throw it in there after we're done.
There you go.
Yeah.
put some on the Recovery Revolution page.
That's
I
right.
can throw
There
it
you
on
go.
there.
You can, but I mean,
Better.
there's nothing wrong with celebrating that you have stuff to celebrate and that you
Yeah.
have hope for the future and you have things to look forward to. I think that's a good message to send.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I
yes.
do on my page, But
That's
thank
how
you
I knew it's
guys.
from your page.
I'm
So
stoked. I'm stoked. I really am. I'm excited to see what's next and what the future holds. Um, I'm excited, obviously about my relationship with my partner and how healthy it is. Like Sarah's amazing, and like I'm a very free spirit, and I've always been, and in relationships that always seems to eventually be like this source of angst or where we butt heads and they start to become possessive and domineering and jealous of whatever. And like she is so the opposite of that, like we accept each other for who we are, like she's more of a homebody and I'm like, I have to go to meetings, I have to be of service in this way and that way, and sometimes I have a pretty busy schedule as a result of that, and she's always really cool about it. She doesn't get weird, and I love that. But then I'm also honored to be able to become be a father figure in her daughters' lives. They need a strong father figure in their life. They needed it, and
That safe space.
Yeah.
That safe space.
I mean, and it's still a work in progress, but I'll tell you this right now. I've seen a big change already just from when I proposed.
That's awesome.
I told her 19-year-old daughter, like in private, like when nobody was in the room, really quickly. I let her see the ring. I asked her if I could give her the phone to record it or whatever. And then I was like, don't say nothing to nobody. So I think, because we haven't really been that close and she really talks to me and now she's just like chatting me up. It's really changed like 180 degrees. And then Kaylee's been much warmer. She's the 8-year-old. So, it's been peaks and valleys through the last few years of dating. So
maybe it's security.
Exciting.
Maybe the kids feel like you're not going to leave, like you've made that commitment to stay and be a part of the family, and maybe before they were afraid to get close because people have probably left in the past.
And they have. So I totally agree with you 150%. I'm just stoked. I'm excited that they're in my life, and thanks for the congrats, you guys.
So I'm excited for you, buddy.
Me too.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Think about all these lives you're helping heal too. Like if they warmed up because you made a commitment. They needed to know someone was going to stay, and that's a part of your healing. Like as a woman, like there's not believing somebody will stay and be that positive male role model. Like being able to model that for those girls, like, is important for their future relationships.
Oh, what a great insight. Thank you for that. That was a great insight there, Ashley. That makes me think.
Makes me think.
It makes me think.
Now we got to celebrate the news because it's so important, right? Now, like it makes them even more important.
It is, and it's going to be awesome. And then now people are asking me all the other subsequent questions, and I'm like, honestly, dude, I didn't put any thought into it beyond that moment. Like the picking of the ring and then the asking, and now, yeah, we haven't taken any next steps.
One day at a time.
Yeah, I'm like not in a hurry. I just think right now I'm just having fun using the word fiance all the time. Like,
I bet.
how's it going, fiance? So funny.
That's great.
All right. Well, we're going to close her down, you kids, you crazy, crazy kids.
Yeah, because this guy is wanting to join the feed. He's fixing to get wild.
That's all right. He's cute.
Isn't he? Okay, he kind of looks like Rod Stewart, like 70s, like late 60s, 70s Rod Stewart, the forehead. It's great.
Yeah. That's amazing.
That's awesome. Okay, so you guys, thank you, Melanie from Soul Tools, for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Soul Tools. Check it out. Tools for your soul.
Yeah.
If you ever need somebody to do your commercials, let me know. All right, let's see. I gotta bring that up. I suck at this. Bear with me. All right, guys, thanks for joining us tonight. We are on YouTube. Just search Recovery Revolution Live. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and you will get notified when we post or go live. If you like this, but you don't like the video platform, we also release a show as a podcast after the fact. I have a podcast, the Way Out Podcast with Charles Lavore. We share personal, powerful recovery stories and unpack recovery power topics to help you find or jumpstart your own recovery. I am shutting this off because it's driving me nuts. I don't like that. It's overbearing. Let's see. Recovery Survey. Brett has a show. Brett wasn't with us tonight. He usually runs a live stream. He's got Recovery Survey. It's morsels of recovery, about 30-minute episodes. LC, why don't you tell us about your show?
That's right, Recovery Soul Food. This is season 5. We are on the virtual mentors season. And listen, we just want you to come. We're going to help you learn how to get up from your give up, create a life you love. And that's that. We're live every Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Amen. Awesome. And then we have recently started this thing, Recovery Revolution Podcast Network. I think we're over 30 podcasters now. It is free, so don't think we're trying to sell you anything. It's just a website, and it's got quick links to a bunch of really good content, different podcasts on there. And we, as a collective, we have our own little private way to chat, conspire, and cross promote, guest swapping. So if you are a podcaster and you're interested in this, hit us up, any one of us, and we'll get you connected and get you featured on the website. It's absolutely free. We just want to lift each other up, man, and really encourage people and let them feel like they're part of a community, because this is the work that we do, and it means a lot to us to be a part of the community. So we want to bring that community together and grow it. That being said, thanks for joining us again. Again, that's where you can find us there, recovery-revolution.org/live. And remember out there, progress, not perfection.